Welcome to another segment of Sisters in Service. I am your host, Kat Corchado, and today we have a female veteran, of course, who did something rather special. She ran for office in her hometown, and she won the office. So please help me welcome AnnMarie Torres. AnnMarie, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you.
I'm good. Thank you so much for being on the show. I was really intrigued when I actually saw your story on Facebook, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to get her on the show because I am probably like some of the audience are wanting to know a little bit about what made you want to do this, to run for office. But before we go there, tell our Sisters in Service who you are. Give us a little background about AnnMarie.
Well, I'm AnnMarie Torres. I'm Army retired, medically retired, served 10 years, did one tour in Iraq, in Baghdad. I have 6 children. We are a blended family, 3 girls and 3 boys. So it's almost kind of like the Brady Bunch.
That worked out really well.
Yes, it did.
Goodness.
My children are all grown, minus one who will be graduating high school senior this May. So almost empty nesters, as they say. I have a huge military family. One of the biggest ranches my brothers and sisters all served. Unfortunately, they served in the Navy. If you haven't heard about it, it's a very interesting way. Just kidding. Story to read. A great history. My dad was in our community. Army, and I think that's about it for me.
So one big question, are you looking forward to being an empty nester or not?
I am not. I am not.
But you're going to be busy.
I know a lot of, yes. But, a lot of people say, there's always a lot of noise and, fighting and the kids doing this and that. And I said, at the time, when you're going through it, it's oh my gosh, I can't wait till they're 18.
Wait, yeah. And then all of a sudden it happens.
But once it's
quiet.
It's quiet. Yes, the quiet.
I totally get that. Now, I understand that you went to Texas A&M University. Did you get a degree?
I went to Texas A&M University, Kingsville. I did leave the university during my Army service and my tour to Iraq. When I came back, I am short a semester to graduate. So that's where I'm at.
Oh, you've got to go back and get that semester. That's like, it's probably like I'm right in front of your face. Like, hey, I'm right here. Anytime you're ready to come back.
Yeah. I am currently attending.
Awesome.
Congratulations. I'm also sitting in a classroom with so many youngins.
I know it can be, but hold your own, girl. I've heard of people much older than you getting their degrees. So,
yes,
kudos to you for doing that. I do understand that you were medically retired. What was your job in the Army?
Well, I first started out as automated logistics supply. And then I moved over to cargo. Not that it was much easier, but I moved over. And then after that, I moved over to 88 Mike, heavy equipment operator. Driving big trucks is what I tell everybody.
Oh my God. See, I don't know how people do that. I just saw someone back in a fire truck with ease. Like, me, I would have been go forward and go back and then go forward and go back. And he just did it like, like it was a little car. And that's my hat's off to you because those big trucks can be a little intimidating, at least for me.
Oh, yes.
I
In
have
the
a hard time with
it was.
SUV. It's like I'm riding in a bus. So I understand that you have, you were awarded the 260th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion Certificate of Achievement,
Right.
Unsung Hero Award. So the award is going to a soldier who is skilled, dedicated, and a diligent person, giving of themselves without the thought of recognition and representing the true spirit of selfless service. So tell us a little bit about that. Did you know you were
Well,
getting it, or was it a shock or a
it
surprise?
it was a shock. It was a surprise. I worked in our tactical command center when we first got to Iraq, and the sergeant first class, he was a training NCO, and he said, "I think I'd like for you to be with me, uh, doing, pretty much, I guess, office work." And I said, "Oh, okay." At first, I thought, "Oh,
Sure.
okay."
No problem.
Right. So, when I joined him, and he taught me so much, and I thought, honestly, I thought, okay, this is going to be just a secretary's job. But what we actually did was we were the eyes and ears of reporting accountability for our soldiers, making sure that our first sergeant and our commander were up to date with anything and everything that was coming in, classified, non-classified information that we needed to report up to the chain to higher command. And some of these reports were, of course, extremely important, making sure that we knew where our soldiers were when they were coming back, going out, and so forth.
Right.
And my training NCO, for some reason, decided he needed to go on his 2 weeks R&R. So he left me in charge, and I thought I was going to go crazy. And
Girl, you handled your business though. Look at that. You were like, I got this. He can go.
yes, I exactly. And he said, "Are you going to be okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I'll be fine." And he left, and when he got back, he was surprised. He says, "I think I'm going to have to move you because you're just doing my job too well."
Well, that's awesome. That's an awesome
Yes.
award. I also noticed that you were inducted. So listen to this. She was inducted into the Women in Military Service at the American Memorial, which is in Washington, D.C. How did that come about?
Well, honestly, it was a surprise. I guess I should have told you a little backstory about how I joined the military and what happened with that. Uh, I had just gone through a divorce, and after 20 years, and I was working 3 jobs, and I had 4 children to support and a grandbaby. And a friend of mine who was a recruiter, Army recruiter, said to me, "Hey, I know that you're struggling, but how about I introduce you to a friend of, well, actually my uncle." And I said, "Your uncle?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "He will pay you to travel. He will, you know, give you skills that you've, never learned before. He will educate you. He will give you housing. He will help you with medical and so forth." And I thought, hmm, I thought that's strange. And he says, "But, he won't expect, anything that's not legal, you know, and he will just expect you to work really hard." And I said, "Well, okay." I thought, I'm intrigued. I said, "Who's your uncle?" And he says, "My Uncle Sam." So
It's everybody's uncle.
exactly. I thought, I should have seen I was walking into that. So I told him, if you can get the paperwork done within 2 weeks or even sooner without, anyone kind of discouraging or
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, you have 4 kids, you've got,"
Mhm.
and he says, "Yes, I can do that." So within 2 weeks, he got paperwork ready, and got sworn in, left for basic, went to AIT, and my unit said, we'll be leaving. You'll be home for a month to get your stuff in order, and we'll be heading out to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I thought, okay, what about my children?
Exactly.
Well, unfortunately, my ex-husband at that time wasn't in a place where he could take care of, my 4 kids and a grandbaby. But my oldest daughter, who had her own child, was 19, and she said, "Mom, don't worry." She says, "I got this. I'll take care of my sister and brothers." So,
So if I go to Washington, D.C. and I go to this memorial, what will I see? Will I see your name on a plaque? Will I see a picture? What would people see if they were going there and they'd be like, her name sounds, you ever say that? Her name sounds familiar. I don't know who she is, but I've heard her name before. So what would I see if I went to this memorial and saw what would I see there?
You will see a video with my picture and a small biography on my service. And in this fabulous, I've attended, so it's this beautiful building. There's other women that have also been inducted, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful monument to our women in service. I was shocked. There's just so many beautiful things, and that's how it came about. Was my daughter, my oldest daughter, had gotten this information, and so she wrote to them, and they, I gave them my information, and I was inducted. And
now that memorial's in Arlington, correct? Or is it
correct?
Okay, because I think for those of you that don't know, I'm with the Women Veterans Network, which is also called Woven, and we did an actual training in Arlington, and I got to go to the women's, I think, memorial there, but I don't know if I probably didn't know that was you, but we took pictures there and everything, and it was amazing. I loved it. It was, all about women veterans. It had all the uniforms and it was great. I had a great time there. So congratulations to that. So on top of everything else, so she also continues to serve her community. So she was she's currently the commander for the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 2375 in Kingsville, junior vice commander of the Texas Veterans of Foreign Wars, District 6, service officer of the American Legion, Post 185 Bishop, and VFW Post 2375. She was also that's not enough. She was selected to serve as National Aide de Camp. Is that how you say that? For the
Correct.
National Veterans of Foreign Wars and to serve on several committees. Good grief. When do you have time to do all this? My goodness. We haven't even gotten to your running for office yet. That's amazing. So what made you want to do all of this? You just wanted to be totally involved in the community?
Honestly, when I got back off of active duty, I continued to stay in the reserves. And when I got back to my community, I was shocked for I thought what we were advanced in, knowing that we have females in the military and so forth. The assistance and the how would I explain this?
Visibility.
The visibility of, female veterans just wasn't there. And I come from a small community in South Texas, largely Hispanic population. So a lot of it, was still the old adage of, well, women still haven't, in the eyes of different people, for women, it's different. So I got involved with an organization and they were not too welcoming. And I was at a place in my life from coming back from Iraq that I really needed that camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
And the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the commander at the time, he approached me and he says, "Why are you not a member of my VFW?" And I said, "Well, sir, I didn't know." And so I joined, and they welcomed me with open arms.
That's
A
awesome.
lot of, yes, a lot of my, the issues that we come back with,
Mm-hmm.
the things that we feel and so forth, they were able to kind of guide me through it. These gentlemen, different wars, uh, different places, but the same feelings, the same things that,
Yeah.
we feel and
You
we
guys
think in
went
our
through the
minds.
same
And
thing, just at different eras. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So I started pulling in some of our female veterans that I thought, surely I can't be the only one in,
Right.
in my area. So that's how that came about. And I thought, if I've got these, problems, navigating through our community and through our area, then
Mhm.
surely there are others out there and they just, haven't, you know, come
Mhm.
out. So that's where that
Well,
direction that I
you're
went
not
in.
the only one. I mean, it's not just where you live. I've been finding this everywhere I go. Other than
Mhm.
Texas, I think Texas, and I mention this all the time because I want North Carolina. So for those of you who don't know, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Texas, it seems to be on top of everything. They have the Women Veterans Day, and I'm like, I want North Carolina to be like Texas when they grow up. And so women sometimes have this vision of a VFW being exactly what you said, these older men from a different era, and they feel like they don't fit in. So the fact that these men actually, or the VFW commander actually reached out to you, I think is amazing. I mean, it sounded like something that was needed, and he reached out to you, and that's not the norm. I will tell you that, because I've heard a lot of different stories of women still trying to break in to the VFW, and they're like, "Oh, your application is pending," that type of thing. So that's amazing that that happened for you. So, last but not least, you ran for office, the city commissioner. So, take us
Right.
back to when you said, you know, I need to do this. So, what were you doing? What were you thinking? Where were you when you made this decision to run for city commissioner?
Well, honestly, back when I was in junior high, at one point I thought, you know what, maybe I should run for office one day. Of course, as young girls, we
Mm-hmm.
eventually grow up and let that
Life
go.
happens.
But exactly. But when I got back to Kingsville, to my hometown in 2011, uh, I expected, since I had been gone. So when I got back, there was just so many things that were still the same. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought, surely after these many years, our city should have changed. There should have been, some improvements, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more improvements than before, and there should be more open communication between our local government and our citizens. So in 2018, I decided, and I'll be honest with you, ladies, and whomever's listening, when I ran in 2018, because I did run before. I
Mm-hmm.
ran in 2018 and I lost by about 80 votes. So,
No.
yes, but
My,
I
oh,
learned,
wow.
yeah, I learned a lot. I learned things that I should have done and things that I maybe shouldn't have done.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned a lot, and I didn't think I was going to run this time. And I thought, you know what? I had a lot of people encourage me and said, 80 votes is nothing. You need to come
Right.
out and do this. And Kingsville's really looking for a change, and the time was now. And I'm going to tell you, I won by 59 votes. So
But you
if
won.
individual,
It doesn't matter.
exactly,
A win is a
yes.
win, whether it was by one vote or 59 votes. A win is a win. That's amazing.
And that's why I tell people it is extremely important to vote. You know, your vote is your voice, and that is something that's extremely important
Yes.
to do.
I think it's important too that, you know, some people, they're born in a certain town or city. They go to school there, they grow up there, they date, they get married, they have kids, and they pass away there. And I was always that person that I said I wanted to see the world. I mean, I grew up in the military. My dad was military. So I thought that's what everybody did. You stayed somewhere for 4 or 5 years and then you moved. Even now, I'm like, okay, I think I've been here too long. Where are we going next? My husband grew up in a small town in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. And he said he needed to get out. He said that was his ticket out, was the service. And so when you go back to it, you see it, and you're correct in that, in a totally different light. You're like, whoa. You either say, wow, I really missed it, or wow, I'm glad I got out when I did. So
Right.
I totally understand that thinking of how you came back and said, okay, I see things so differently. So in your new position, what are you hoping to achieve in the first year? What do you hope? What would you like to see happen during your term as city commissioner?
Since the city just elected to do a 4-year term, we used to do 2-year terms. This will be the first time that our city commissioners do 4-year terms. So one of the things that I think is most important is the lack of communication that our citizens have with our local government.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the past, it's just been, well, we have to just go with it because that's what they decided to vote on, or that's what they decided to do.
Right.
And I think our community they're wanting more open communication and transparency. So that's one of my focuses, is to find a way to make sure that a lot of the things that we are doing within the city, that we are making sure that we are communicating to our citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is a great thing. And I say great for me because I've been reading a lot of things where we do have a community page where a lot of the citizens, have stated on there, well, I didn't know that they did this, or I didn't know that this is going to be done, or when is this going to be done, and why hasn't it been done?
Mm-hmm.
So just from seeing that, I can see that somewhere there's a lack of communication. Somewhere our citizens are not getting the information from our city commission and our mayor that they are needing or that they are wanting. So I think that's one of the main focuses that I want to make sure that going into this, that we find a way to gap that communication.
Yeah, information is power. And then you can make an informed decision when you have the right information. So,
Correct.
what would you like for young women? And when I say young women, they're in the 10, maybe that's too young. Let's say they're in high school up through maybe 20, 25. Okay. What's the message you want to portray to them?
I want to portray to them that they can do anything, and the world is not flat from your community. And I say that because we live in a small community where a lot of our individuals think, well, I'll just go to San Antonio or Houston and that'll be enough. No, we've there is so much out there, and I'm a huge proponent of, going out and finding your niche, I guess, and
Exactly.
either stay there or come back home and bring us what you've learned and take it into a leadership position. I think our females, you know, there's just so much that they can do, and there's so much out there. I think that leadership is one of the things that we need to instill in them, so that we can continue paving this road
Hmm.
that we're on. And that's basically what, I'd like for them to know.
Well, I think the other thing too is that sometimes when you shoot for a position, so the first time you ran and you lost, you could have said, okay, I lost, that's it. But sometimes you win and sometimes you learn a lesson. And you learned a lesson, you learned a lot. So you could have just said, I'm not going to do that again. But you said, you know what? I'm going to take what I've learned and apply it to this next election. And look what happened. And it's important, I think, for women to understand that there's more life outside of the box that they're in. Don't be afraid to dip your toe into another area that you've never tried before. If you go to school in a different state, and sometimes, your family and something, oh, stay here and be here and do this, and that might be true, but there's so much you can do in your community without ever leaving. I mean, look at what you've done. You went away, you came back, and now, you're in government, you're in a government position. So one last question for our audience. If you were to run again, would you run for a higher office in your area? Do you have that itch now? Like, I mean, I know you just, it's a 4-year position. You might do the 4 years and go, you know what, I'm done. But are you going to take what you learn and maybe apply it to a higher position, or you haven't thought that far ahead yet?
I was actually asked that question by a family member of mine. And when he asked me, he says, is this it? Or are you thinking, something a little bit higher, within our state?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I did kind of think about it. And I thought, you know what? I just may run for a higher position in our state, but we'll just see how these 4 years, go. Who knows? I
Absolutely.
may just, after the 4 years, I may just say, you know what? This really isn't for me.
And you
But
could. Yes, absolutely. But I know that we want to keep in touch with you and really, follow your career and, be as supportive as we can. So make sure you're on social media. Let us know what's happening, how we can support you. And I truly am so proud of you for just taking that leap of faith and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. And that's a true testament to, and I have to say it, I'm sorry, to her veteran background. Because I think, and honestly, I believe that you grew so much as a person in the military that you came back and said, oh, no, 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 we got to change this and this and this and this. And you said, I'm running for office. And so as women veterans, we are incredibly proud of you for doing
thank
this.
you.
And thank you so much for being a part of Sisters in Service. Like I said, I was just so excited when I read about you on Facebook, and I was like, yes, I have to contact her immediately because this is amazing. This is the kind of things that we can accomplish when you put your mind to it. So, AnnMarie, any last words for our audience?
Yes, female veterans, go out there and do this. It honestly, it doesn't matter which political party you're on. I would like to see more female veterans running for office. We need this change. We need this leadership, I believe. And for our young females, just go out and do it. I have confidence in in our young girls. They are our future. And and I just want to say thank you very much for bringing me on the show, and I truly appreciate it. And thank you for the support. Believe me, that support is what keeps me going.
You are so welcome. So you heard it here. I want to know who's next because you could be a guest on my show. AnnMarie, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on Sisters in Service, and we will keep you posted on what she's doing next. I hope that you will join us next time on December 15th for episode 6, where I will be interviewing Nika Brown, a female veteran who is also an entrepreneur who found her niche and is doing business around the world. In the meantime, please be safe and take care of each other. Until next time.